Have you ever wondered what would happen if a secret society actually decided you were highly intelligent? Not because of your degrees or test scores, not because, but because of three things you do every single day without even realizing it. Like imagine you are just living your life, scrolling, deciding, adapting, and somewhere in the background an invisible system is watching and calculating. And it concludes that you are very, very intelligent, not because of what you know, but because of how you behave when no one is watching. That's the premise. And it sounds wild, but this is happening right now, not in some sci-fi idea but in the algorithms and behavioral models that quietly shape your digital existence. And honestly, once you understand what those three things actually are, you might start seeing your own habits in a completely different light. So here's the thing. Most people have this deep-seated belief that intelligence is something you either have or you don't. Something that gets stamped on your transcript or measured by an IQ test. But that's not how modern systems work anymore. They don't care about your SAT scores or your GPA. They don't care about your degrees or certifications. What they care is about how you move through uncertainty, how you handle incomplete information, and how you adapt when the world around you shifts unexpectedly. Unexpectedly. Those are the three signals that actually matter. Decision efficiency under uncertainty, pattern adaptability, and what some might call cognitive elasticity, the ability to hold complexity without collapsing into confusion. And the craziest part, is that you have been demonstrating these traits your entire life just by being alive and navigating the chaos of daily existence. Let's start with the first one. Decision efficiency under uncertainty. Imagine you are driving and your GPS suddenly stops working. You are in an unfamiliar part of town. You've got a meeting in 20 minutes and there is no clear route ahead. Some people freeze. They pull over, they panic, they start calling for help. But others, they assess, they make a quick judgment call based on incomplete information, and they keep moving. They don't need all the answers. They just need enough, just enough to take the next step. That's what decision efficiency under uncertainty looks like. It's not about being right all the time. It's about being functional when things are ambiguous. And the system, the secret society of sorts, it's watching how you behave in those moments. When you are scrolling and you come across a post that challenges your worldview, do you pause and consider it? Or do you scroll past quickly? When you're online shopping and you are not sure which product is better, do you hesitate and compare, or do you make a snap decision and move on? these micro moments, they are not meaningless. They are data points that reveal how your mind handles the unknown. Here is where it gets even more interesting. Most people assume that intelligence means having all the answers. But in reality, intelligence is often about being comfortable with not having all the answers. The people who score high in these behavior models are the ones who can tolerate without getting overwhelmed. They don't need certainty to act. They are not paralyzed by the lack of perfect information. They make a decision. They adapt as new information comes in. And they keep going. That's a skill. And it's not something you learn in a classroom. It's something you develop through experience. Through trial and error, mistakes, through living your life and realizing that most of the time you just have to do your best with what you've got. The second thing that this secret society is measuring is pattern adaptability. This is even more subtle than the first one, and honestly, it's where most people get tripped up. Pattern adaptability is your ability to change your behavior when the environment shifts without needing to be told to change. It's about flexibility, about not clinging to old habits when they no longer serve you. Think about it like this. You have been using a certain app for years, and suddenly they update the interface. Everything is different. Everything is different. The buttons are in new places. The navigation is unfamiliar. Some people get frustrated. They complain. They resist. They text to they try to find workarounds. But others, they just adapt. They explore the new layout. They learn the new flow, and they move on. That's pattern adaptability in action. And it's not just about technology, it's about life. When a relationship changes, when the job evolves, when the world around you shifts in unexpected ways, do you cling to the old way of doing things, or do you adjust and find a new path forward? The systems that are quietly assessing your intelligence are watching for this. They are looking at how you respond to novelty, how you handle change, how quickly you update your mental models when reality no longer matches expectation. And this is where a lot of people get stuck. They think intelligence is about sticking to your guns, about being consistent and unwavering. But in a world that's constantly shifting, that's not a strength, that's a liability. True intelligence, the kind that gets you labeled as very, very intelligent by these hidden systems, is about being fluid, about being able to let go of old patterns when they are no longer useful. It's about recognizing that your past strategies might not work in the present and being okay with that. Really okay. And then there is the third, which is where it all comes together. Cognitive elasticity. This is the ability to hold complexity without over simplifying. It's about seeing the nuance in situations, understanding that not everything is black and white. Not everything is, and being able to navigate the gray areas without losing your sense of direction. Most people want simple answers. They want clear expectations, explanations, and easy solutions. But life isn't like that. Life is messy. It's full of contradictions and paradoxes. And the people who are truly intelligent are the ones who can sit with that who can hold multiple perspectives all at once, who can understand that two contradictory things can both be true at the same time. Imagine you are in a meeting at work, and there is a disagreement about how to move forward with the project. One side wants to go with a conservative approach. The other wants to take a risk. The person with cognitive elasticity doesn't just pick a side. They see the value in both approaches. They understand that there is no perfect solution, only trade-offs. And they can communicate that complexity without making it sound like waffling or indecision. That's a rare skill. Rare, yeah, and it's one that these systems are picking up on. They are watching how you handle complexity, how you communicate nuance, how you navigate the spaces between extremes. And if you do it well, they start to see you as someone who is not just smart, but deeply intelligent. Deeply intelligent. Now here is where it gets a little unsettling. All of this is happening in the background without your explicit knowledge. You're not taking a test. You are not answering questions. You are just living your life, doing your thing, and somewhere a system is building a profile on your cognitive behavior. It's watching your decision patterns, your adaptability, your ability to handle complexity. And based on that, it's assigning you a label, very intelligent. And that label follows you. It influences what content you see online, what opportunities are presented to you, what paths feel accessible versus blocked. But here's the thing. This system isn't secret. This secret society, it's not perfect. It's powerful, yeah, for sure. It's consistent, absolutely. But it's not complete, because while it can measure your behavior, it cannot measure your intention. It can track your decisions, but it cannot understand your motivation. It can see your adaptability, but it cannot feel the internal structure that sometimes accompanies change. And this is where the gap between the system's assessment and your actual self becomes visible. You might be labeled as very intelligent because your behavior fits the model, but that doesn't mean the model has captured everything that matters about you. I think I confused myself. So think about it like this. You could be someone who makes quick decisions under pressure, and the system interprets that as decision efficiency. But what if those quick decisions come from anxiety, from a need to escape the discomfort of uncertainty. The system doesn't know that. Yeah, it doesn't know. It just sees the pattern. You could be someone who adapts quickly to new situations, and the system sees that as pattern adaptability. But what if that adaptability comes from a lack of strong convictions, from a tendency to just go with the flow because it's easier than standing your ground? Standing your ground, yeah. The system doesn't capture that depth. It just sees the behavior. And that's the real nuance. The system is a mirror. Yeah, the system is a mirror, but it's a distorted mirror. It reflects your visible behaviors, but it doesn't reflect the invisible layers of your experience, your emotions, your fears, your hopes, your internal struggles. None of that shows up in the data. So while it's accurate in a narrow sense, it's incomplete in a broader sense. And that's something you have to keep in mind when you hear that a secret society or a behavioral algorithm has decided you are very intelligent. It's not a complete judgment of your worth. It's a partial interpretation of your actions. But even with that limitation, there is something valuable in understanding what the system is measuring. Because once you know that decision efficiency, pattern adaptability, and cognitive elasticity are the signals that matters, you can start to pay attention to them in your own life. You can start to notice how you behave when the strikes are high, when the information is incomplete, when the world is shifting around you. And you can use that. Yeah, you can use that awareness to grow, not to feed the system better, but to become more intentional about how you navigate complexity. The truth is, most people go through life on autopilot. They make decisions about thinking. They react to change without reflection. They handle complexity by oversimplifying. And the system picks up on all of that. It sees the patterns of automatic behavior and it categorizes you accordingly. But if you start to become aware of your own patterns, you can begin to interrupt them. You can choose to pause when you'd normally rush. You can choose to adapt when you'd normally resist. You can choose to hold complexity when you'd normally retreat into certainty. Yeah. And that's where real growth happens. It's not about gaming the system or trying to get a better label. It's about understanding yourself more deeply and making conscious choices about how you show up in the world. Because intelligence in the truest sense, it's not about being static. It's not about having a fixed amount of cognitive ability. It's about being dynamic, about learning, about evolving, about becoming more than you were yesterday, before. And that's something no system can fully capture because it's happening in real time, inside your mind, in the quiet moments between decisions. So when you hear that you have been labeled as very intelligent, don't let it inflate your ego or define your identity. Instead, use it as an invitation to explore. Just ask yourself, what patterns are being observed? What behaviors am I repeating that might signal intelligence to an outside observer? And more importantly, what parts of me are not being seen? What parts of my intelligence are invisible to the data, yet essential to who I am? The systems that are watching are powerful, but they are not, they see the surface, but not the depth. They measure the visible, but not the invisible. And that means there is always more to you than any system can capture. The real intelligence, the kind that matters, is the intelligence that emerges from self-awareness, from the willingness to question your own patterns, from the courage that change when change is needed, and from the humility to know that you are more than your behavior. You are not just a set of decisions. You are a conscious navigating a complex world. You are not just an adaptive pattern. You are a person with intentions, emotions, and values. You are not just a model of cognitive elasticity. You are a soul trying to make sense of the chaos, finding meaning in the mess, and creating your own path forward. And that, more than any behavioral signal, is what truly makes you intelligent. Not because you feed the system's criteria, but because you are alive, engaged, and striving to understand. So the next time you think about the secret society or the algorithm that's watching, remember this. Just remember this. It's not the full picture. It's just a snapshot. And the real picture is always changing, always growing, always unfolding in ways that no system can predict. So keep going. Keep going, keep questioning, keep adapting, keep holding the complexity. And most importantly, keep being the unique, unpredictable, beautiful human person that you are, because that's the intelligence that really matters. And that's something no system, no algorithm, no secret society can ever fully capture or define.